In South East at 6 tonight, as some ratepayers in North London look forward to lower rates in the year ahead, a report on the prospect for the rest of the region. Mastering the microchip, how two teenagers' expertise with computers is making them a fortune. Venerating the Victorians, the successes and failures of the campaign to conserve 19th century buildings. And royal...
Good evening. In South East at 6 tonight. Now, you don't need a computer to tell you that we're now living in the age of the microchip. Our homes are rapidly being invaded by mini-computers, and slowly we're even being programmed into how to use them. The British market is already worth millions of pounds, and early next week, the latest generation of hard and software goes on show in Birmingham. The BBC is in the forefront with its huge computer literacy project, based on the corporation's own microcomputer. There are over 25,000 of them in use in the country's schools, and already some youngsters in the southeast are making their fortune by mastering the microchip. 17-year-old Jeremy Ruston and Alex Gollner, who's 15, are two London schoolboys who stand to make about £16,000 between them this year, cashing in on the computer craze. Jeremy's published 3 books about how to make the best use of your personal mini-computer. This one, it says, is destined to become the Bible of the BBC user. He's also come up with a cassette that speeds up the BBC Micro. His latest project is to produce computer games for the BBC. Alex Gollner's first book of computer programmes is due out in March. Well, Jeremy, first of all, how did you become hooked and what's the fascination?
Well, I started off being interested in electronics and building radios and so on. Then I started building small computers, and from then I just started buying ready-built ones instead.
It must be pretty difficult writing all these best-selling books and trying to struggle with your A-levels.
Yeah, it is actually very difficult. I failed my A-levels in the summer because of it, actually.
Has it all been worthwhile?
Oh yeah, very much so.
Now, the fascination, up here we've got this design which I believe you call French tiles. Now, is this just typical of the sort of patterns you can make?
Yeah, I mean, that's just a quarter of an hour's work or something, just as an amusement.
Talking of amusement, Alex, I mean, you've got your games book coming out soon. I think a lot of children must have been given computer games for Christmas. Is it healthy to have so many of them sitting around just plugged in, playing them?
I don't think actually it burns their minds up, but it does keep them off the street. And it also helps them get ready for the big computer world, where nearly everything is being taken over by computers.
Do you think the sort of, the way that teachers are getting computer studies across in school is good?
Well, there is a difference between computer studies and computer programming. In the primary schools, children are being taught about how to program their computer, while in the comprehensive schools, people are actually told about the whole system of computing, which is quite different.
Well, Jeremy, perhaps we could now take a look at your latest computer game, which is called Doctor Who, I believe. Now, how does this work? It's a sort of Pac-Man, isn't it?
Yeah, it's based on some of the ideas from Pac-Man, but it's a very long program. It's taken quite a long time to load off disk.
And it's going to pop up here. Ah, here we are.
Yeah, essentially, you're that little dot in the corner.
Down here?
Yes, and you're being chased by those worms who have now eaten me, which is the end of the game.
Oh, I see. Now, do you think that there is a bit of a generation gap when it comes to working with computers? That, you know, people of my age, it's almost too late to learn?
No, not at all. I found that quite a lot of people, old age pensioners and people of any age, have been writing to me with comments about the books and suggestions and so on. So there must be quite a lot of people of all ages interested.
What are the practical applications, really, for home computers? What are the most useful things you can do with one in the home?
I think the most useful thing really is word processing for writing letters and so on. And then there are the less general applications like shopping lists and what I use it for, cataloguing records and books.
Well, I know you can play all kinds of tricks with it, and in fact you've even been programming it to actually show our South East at 6 logo. While you get that sorted out, let me just tell people what tomorrow's weather is going to be like. Tomorrow will be a mostly cloudy day, and our picture, by the way, comes from Mr. Page of Billericay in Essex. After a dry start, there will be some outbreaks of rain for a time, and then it will become drier later. It'll be somewhat less cold with afternoon temperatures of 7 degrees centigrade, as you can see there, 45 Fahrenheit. So rather cloudy, some rain for a time. Jeremy, let's have a look at your South East at 6 logo. That's rather splendid, isn't it? How long did it actually take you to get that together?
About 2 hours.
2 hours?
Yes.
I mean, that's rather, I mean, it's very pretty, but do you think it was worth the effort?
Well, yes and no, but there's actually quite a lot of complicated maths involved in that, which just doesn't show up when you look at it.
Well, Jeremy, I'll tell you now, I'll put you on the spot. You've got 9 seconds to see if you can punch up the nationwide programme. See what you can do. Off you go.
Let's see what we can manage, yeah.
Good evening. Nationwide tonight, underage drinkers. As a fresh campaign is launched to keep young people off the bottle, we ask why do they do it and how do they get round the law.